And welcome to the Don't Panic Podcast, episode number 9. Patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. We are here to talk about stuff, things, recent events. Everything's going kind of crazy. But don't
Stuff
worry.
things.
Stuff, things, being very verbose today. Lots of big words, big brain thoughts. That's what we're here for.
Not
At
that
the Don't
smooth
Panic
brain
Podcast.
shit.
Not that smooth,
Rigid,
rigid,
bulging.
wrinkled brain matter, great shit. All day at the
Oozing.
podcast. Chill out because everything's kind of bad. Everything's kind of crazy right now. Good, to be perfectly honest. But we're not going to panic about it because, you know, long game. How you feeling today, man?
I'm good. We're not going to panic about it because at least we have drugs.
That is true. We do have drugs.
I actually don't do anything. Not even weed, but it's funny to say.
It is. It is. The Rice method for dealing with life's problems. Rest, ingest, cocaine every day.
Oh,
Uh,
God.
Not my thing, but anyway. So, yes, today it is August 23rd, 2020. There's kind of a whole lot of stuff that has happened in the last few days, last couple of weeks, um, back and forth. One thing I really want to bring up is Steve fucking Bannon.
Ooh,
Been
Steve fucking
arrested.
Bannon.
The the decaying frogman of Breitbart is slowly, withering away because he can no longer siphon the souls of small children. Um,
He was the chief strategist for the White House, right?
Let me see. Former White House chief strategist was arrested and charged Thursday for his alleged role in defrauding hundreds of thousands of donors related to anti-immigrant "We Build the Wall" campaign, according to CommonDreams.org.
Yeah, and it's bad when James Comey says of the situation, he is in a world of trouble.
Yep. Uh,
For those who don't know, James Comey is the former director of the FBI, right?
mm,
Yes. Yeah, former
yeah,
FBI director.
former
And
FBI.
he's the one who,
He led the initial Russia investigation, right?
yeah, and he testified
Yep.
about spending time with Trump, and his whole thing was just Trump's weird. I don't know, and I don't like being around him. That was like his whole message.
Yeah, kind of. No, but I think that there's some serious takeaway that could have come from Comey and his investigation. If there was, I don't know. I don't think that they really understood just how much of a threat to our democracy and the way that we fundamentally understand our political conversations, um, and sort of national identity were going to be affected by you know the continuing poison of the Trump administration.
Yeah,
But
and it's dangerous because they keep metaphorically kicking down doors that should be locked.
mm,
And you think every time you read something, you think to yourself, well, they can't keep getting away with this, right? Because objectively, this is wrong, it's bad, it's illegal, it's treasonous. But if no one will hold them accountable, the same way we talk about police and military overseas, if no one is doing the work, then it doesn't matter what they
yeah,
do.
exactly.
If there's no guideline to stop them, and no one who's like, hey, we're gonna go from saying this is wrong to acting on, we have to, you know
Yeah, exactly. There's almost like a complete and utter lack of even attempting to um, meet this man with any sort of real pushback. Even, not to get on a tangent because I want to kind of keep on Steve Bannon and his nonsense because That's like bunch of his former people that have been indicted. Um, but wait, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Last few words that I just said.
Um, let's see. Steve Bannon been
Oh,
indicted.
before that,
We were talking about the lack of accountability.
lack of accountability. Blah blah blah. Oh, right. So like, there's all this performative like weird Yas Queen fucking get 'em like when Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi kind of give their really
Mm-hmm.
performative nonsense. Like I'm none too impressed with anything Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer has done in the course of the
That
last
kente
100
cloth
years.
bullshit.
Yeah, Kenzie Cloth, the rip in the paper, all that horseshit, absolute horseshit. Policy. That's what I care about.
The,
Policy.
it's the most she'll ever do is
Yeah.
that she won't actually legislate any, real policy. She won't care about actual change.
She won't
It's just,
actually like vote no on any of his budgetary requests or like let's not pretend like there aren't bunch of establishment Democrats that are complicit in Trump's presidency and the damage that he's doing. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, looking at Pelosi right there, I mean, the day that she ripped up that speech and did that stupid little face, everyone was just like, "Oh my god, it's hilarious." I mean, she checked off on Trump's military spending increase,
yeah,
and it was like something like what, like 300 to 500 billion.
yep.
So it's performative. She doesn't actually institute any change. She's
She's paper tiger. I can't wait. I really hope that she gets voted out. I don't have her opponent up, but best of luck to that person, whoever's
well,
trying to
she's
vote.
been in the system too long, and she's benefited from being, complicit on the sidelines as a Democrat, just letting everything swirl and spin around her.
Yeah, but
So what we need is, to put it, I guess, in the most simple way, is new blood um, in Congress.
yeah,
So people who are younger, people who aren't legislating change for a world that they won't see.
yeah,
Someone like AOC would be great. Someone like Ilhan Omar would be great.
right. I mean,
And
we've gotten a couple of young progressives kind of all around the U.S. Lots of progressive wins, and my computer is going into dark mode.
oh,
Don't do that.
um,
I'm going to be able to read. Thank you. That's why the light changed. Okay.
and I had thought that I liked Joe Kennedy, but he did something recently.
Oh, what happened?
Um, Crap, I don't remember like what he did.
Well,
Uh,
you got the internet on your fingertips. Hold on.
I'm looking for it right now. It's about his race against Markey for Senate.
Uh huh.
Um, let's see. Pelosi angers AOC by endorsing Kennedy scion in Senate race.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Oh, okay. Ed Markey out of Massachusetts is a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, of which Kennedy did not uh, sign off on.
Mm.
Kennedy's more of a centrist.
Yeah.
Um, he opposes marijuana legalization
Gross.
and opposes legislation to curb mass surveillance.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't like
he had
that.
found his way into the hearts and
Don't say
minds
that, man.
of progressives a couple of years ago, talking about gun control legislation
Mhm.
um, after Sandy Hook happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out he's actually just kind of like a shit centrist.
Mm. That sucks. But back to
So
Bannon. Hold on. We
yeah,
gotta let's get back on track for a sec. We can talk shit about shit libs all day. Um, we gotta fucking. I had a plan today. All right.
Yeah, we're not good at that.
We're not, but guess what? It's time. Anyway, so all right, here's a few things about this that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right. So first of all, there were three peeps also involved in this. Campaign leader Brian Colfidge, Andrew Badalato, and Timothy Shaw. Defendants defrauded hundreds of thousands of donors. Um, under the pretense that money would be spent on construction,
Hmm.
while assuring donors that Colfidge would not get any money. Um, you know, he was secretly passed quite a bit to fund a very lavish lifestyle. Bannon got a cool 1 million, no, a little over 1 million to cover thousands of dollars in personal expenses. Um, they tried to create sham invoices and accounts to launder donations. Nice.
Yeah, the president's former White House chief strategist is alleged to have swindled hundreds of thousands of Trump devotees out of more than $25 million.
That's
Uh,
kind of based.
his nonprofit said the money was going to build a giant border wall, the one Trump said Mexico was going to pay for.
Right. Donated money. People, I feel horrible for the Trump supporters.
Oh yeah, I feel.
Because
Uh,
like just anybody who did this, because anybody who donated to this, because one, you played yourself, you know, um, like
it's like that.
that
It's always
really
sunny gif of Dennis driving with the cereal, like, haha, you dumb bitch.
you don't bitch. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, and it really sucks because there is, you know, um, to a certain degree, there's usually a bit of digging you have to do before you're able to be like, hey, I kind of told you so about this thing. You know, it's not usually up in your face less than a couple of years after the dude decides to duck out of the White House, and like this isn't just like a little thing. This is like one of Trump's big fucking like
Yeah,
build
and
the wall, build the wall.
what I
Like,
think is funny is also like there's hasn't been much transparency in regards to like how much of the wall has been built or like where they are in this process or like
yep,
how successful it's been. Like most people just don't really know, like again like reports vary, but an investigation by the Texas Tribune and ProPublica um, basically shows that it was around like 3 miles worth,
uh huh,
and it was only like skeletons of the wall. It was test designs,
right.
and about a mile of the 3 miles got blown down by some winds only a few weeks ago. So,
They
that's
replaced
where
the
we're at with the wall, and that's another reason why. Like, I don't give a shit that you got fucked out of your racism money. Eh.
yeah. I mean, I just think it's kind of sad that you are so afraid of losing this sort of ethereal version of whatever it is that you think you're losing, but like your nation or whatever, because some brown people decided to move in. Woo, woo. Like, calm down, bro. They were actually here before you. Um, first
Yeah.
of all, let's
And
get
this idea of like people physically crossing the border anyway is like this imaginative hyperbole. That's not how immigrants are entering the country, you
right.
know.
Well,
But
like there's this really, oh man, it went viral a few years ago, but it was pretty funny. Um, these guys, they're speaking Spanish. I don't know what Spanish speaking country they're in, but they're in a radio show
mm,
speaking Spanish. And guys like, yeah, man, Trump wants to build this fucking wall, but like, dude, 40% of illegal immigrants come here by plane. Like, you haven't stopped anything, dude. They're just people who
Yeah,
like out outdid their visas and stayed too long.
there's actually a great piece by oh my god. See, I could probably reference this at any other point, but when I want to reference it and we're recording, it's just out of my mind.
Yep,
I
it's fine.
can't.
You'll never
It's
get that back.
it's from True TV. I know that. It's a segment with a guy who used to be on College Humor. Um, he's got funny hair.
Bring it back.
Uh,
Come on, Joe.
Adam ruins everything.
There you go. You
Adam
got
ruins
there.
everything.
You're gonna
Um,
hate this footage.
it's uh, so he does a piece on the wall. So look it up if you get the chance on YouTube. It's Adam ruins everything on the border wall, and he talks about how like a physical wall would actually make immigration numbers worse, and how like increased intolerance in like border policy has made immigration numbers actually worse in the U.S. because we used to have was something called like a revolving door, which is where immigrants would come into the U.S. or
Yeah,
what we call migrant workers. They would
yeah,
work for a period of time, then they would leave.
right.
So what you have now are people who enter and then they physically cannot leave, which now creates this idea that now obviously conservatives are wrong about this, but it gives them this person of, oh, they're feeding off the system, they're getting benefits, they commit crime. None of those, like, none of that is true
Right.
based on statistics. They
Yeah.
actually commit less crime that per capita than actual citizens. They only receive a certain, like, a small number of benefits, like emergency healthcare is one of them, but they cost less per capita than the
There's
average
actually
citizen as well.
there's a
Um,
figure that
and they,
shows. Sorry, not to cut you off, but there's
yeah,
also a figure that shows that like there are a lot of undocumented immigrants that come into this country and put into the system without getting anything out.
hmm
Um,
billions of dollars actually.
yeah.
Um, Here, undocumented workers pay billions of taxes. Let's see. This is from marketplace.com. There are similar articles from QZ, Vox, US News, CNN. Just if anyone wants to try and pick apart the sources, there's the same thing is from multiple sources. But it says that um, as of 2016, 11 million undocumented immigrants live in the U.S. with no legal authorization to work. Yet, an estimated 8 million do, both on and off the book, and they add approximately 13 billion in income tax revenue. That's not money that they're spending on products, by the way. That's strictly in income tax.
Wow.
Yeah,
They bring in $13 billion. You said a year.
a year
That's crazy.
out of like income and payroll tax.
Wow. And that's like insane because you know what I mean. Like I don't know how. I mean it's just you know because we don't fully understand how all of this shit works. It's a level of
Mm-hmm.
like, just kind of banking on you know the ignorance of the American people. But like that's just it knowing that fact kind of just destroys Pedro Pillow. You know what I'm saying? Fucking
It destroys the whole narrative
yeah,
around the
it,
whole conservative narrative around undocumented immigrants in the first place.
yeah,
And like
which is
if
infinitely contradictive in
and
itself.
if we were to like kick them out, like just get rid of all of them, which is like the fucking conservative pipe dream, is it would not only like throw us into a huge economic crash. I mean, we're already in another recession anyway. Yeah, thanks capitalism. I'm only 27 and I'm going into like my second once in a lifetime fucking recession. But it would create a huge crash because we would not be able to replicate that amount of money, you know.
Mm,
And two, it would completely destroy multiple industries. Like the
right.
farming industry would just write out the fucking, and not to mention like tons of private contractors, like construction contractors and shit, use undocumented
Like,
workers.
yeah, no, and they're it's really crazy because they really are, you know, in a lot of industries, the backbone of how we get our shit done. And a there's what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to figure it out, but there's like this sort of vested interest in keeping, you know, undocumented workers undocumented because it you know they have to pay less for them. And then if we were
Mm-hmm.
to actually like make them citizens and shit, you know, more companies would, and more, you know, people with money and power would have to pay a bit more for, pay them more, and also pay more into the system, and they wouldn't have, you know, that 13 billion in income tax fucking revenue to bank on to give themselves fucking corporate subsidies. Jesus Christ, this whole thing is wild. I hate capitalism. Saying all of
Yeah,
that.
so I'm gonna look up a figure here real quick. Um, so if they became citizens, you would have to pay them at least minimum wage,
Right.
right? But an undocumented worker who works in like a farm
Mm-hmm.
makes the equivalent of
42 cents every fifth Thursday of the month.
I'm seeing 55 cents an hour from the New York Times.
Hey, yo. How recent is that figure?
This article is from April 2nd, 2020.
Holy Christ, 55 cents an hour to do what sort of work?
Just like picking tomatoes and shit out of like just standing in the sun in for
If you're paying
16 to
$1
18
for a
hour
tomato
days.
right now, you're paying that dude for 1 hour of tomato picking.
Pretty much. And like,
Tomato picking. That's fucked up.
the whole, they took our gerbs, thing is like no one would ever work that job. All those guys, with their trucks and their flannels and this stereotype that I'm talking about right now, you know, uh,
Yeah.
you really think that that everyone is like, fucking lining up for those jobs? No, you would never do that. You
Hmm.
would never go work for 55 cents an hour.
Right.
And they would never hire you to do that because they can hire a worker to do it instead of paying you minimum wage.
Exactly. It's not really the undocumented worker's fault that, you know, they're in a desperate situation and their employers are inclined to exploit that desperate situation and pay them as little as they possibly can. You know,
Yeah.
it's in
What
their interest.
what this says also is, so they have daily quotas for how much they have to pick. If they
Mm.
don't reach that by the end, they have to keep working until they do, and they don't get paid for the extra time.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit. The fact, like,
So, get off your fucking immigrants are stealing our jobs shit unless you're, willing to go down there and do that. And I know you're not. I know you're sitting in your fucking, your ranch style house in South Carolina typing on your fucking MacBook, you know.
I mean, even that, like, you know, we don't even have to shit on, like, yo, real quick. Um, I don't endorse the shitting on rednecks. Some rednecks are fucking cool. Not all rednecks are reactionary right weirdos with, you know, low IQs, low education, and a friend named Billy Bob. However, however, you are a backwards ass, uh, dumb dickhead if you are gonna sit here with a straight face and tell me that you, a modern, you know, American, somebody holding a Republican position, is willing to go and work for 55 cents a fucking hour because that job is useful and it will maintain the structures of, you know, the work that, you know, everyone else has to do. You know what I mean? They are absolutely essential to the gears of what our thing works. Who cares? You know, be do your fucking duty, Mister fucking Dirk taking her gerbs. and get paid 50 cents a fucking hour, so we can all have tomatoes. Bitch.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they love to talk about how raising the minimum wage to a livable wage would skyrocket prices, but if you really want to skyrocket prices and you want to pay $8 for a fucking tomato, that's how you do it. Is you kick the undocumented workers out of the U.S.
yeah,
because then they have to pay real people. Not that's that I said real people. They have to pay.
they have
That
to.
was bad.
Wow, nice.
Woo! Whoops, cutting that one out. They have to pay citizens, and you
They
divide.
have to pay real fucking wages, man. Like they can't like
Yeah.
the thing is like we just happen to have all of these little levels of exploitation that our system runs on. And you know, if you like if you mess with one of the little like Jenga pieces of it, it can all come crashing down. If you pay fucking um, you know, the guy that picks fucking tomatoes for 55 cents an hour, pay him $15 an hour. Then the dude that's slicing tomatoes over at McDonald's only getting, $10 an hour to flip burgers has to get a fucking wage that is reflective of the amount of work and the amount of burgers that McDonald's in itself sells because it buys so many goddamn tomatoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if the problem is like all of the pieces they've found a way to convince us that each one of the pieces of growing the tomato to putting the tomato on a fucking Big Mac um,
Hmm.
is 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 invaluable. Isn't as valuable as like the engineering major who's created the fourth different version of Bejeweled Cupcake disco dance on the iPhone app. Like somehow somehow just because it's you know manual labor and technically anyone can do it, but not anyone's going to do it or is built to do it. Um, I'm a fucking I'm a like I'm a somewhat manly man at times, but I'm a fucking artsy fuck. I'm a art boy. I'm a soft like sensitive dude. I think about my emotions and like
Yeah.
beauty and things and fucking I don't I'm not
We
I
don't ignore our emotions in this house.
But like, I don't want to go pick fucking tomatoes. But I definitely believe the guy that picks fucking tomatoes should be getting paid enough to feed his family and get a nice, I don't know, motorcycle when he wants.
Yeah. You. Oh, pausing real quick. It's still on the fucking train of like, yo, fuck capitalism. But listen to this headline real quick. Dude, I actually gasped because I was just like, what the fuck? All right, shop worker who died on shift,
Covered
covered
by
by umbrella
umbrellas.
as store stays open.
Yep, I read about that, and that's like fuck all of you. Fuck all of that. There's too much. We've gotten to a point where we actively don't give a shit about human life. Like that really is
Yeah.
troubling.
Oh, what
That's
was that fucking? What was that poll? There was a poll recently by a news source, and it's separated by conservative Democrat, well, Republican, Democrat, and Independent. But it was basically the percentage of people who felt that the number of like the amount of deaths that we've had as a country for COVID is acceptable, and like more than 60% of those Republicans that were polled found that our 170,000 dead from COVID were quote unquote acceptable. We're at a point where just like we don't, not we, but like socially don't give a fuck about human life. It's so distant. If it's not immediately in front of us, it's foreign and it doesn't matter, and you can't, it's impossible to, maybe not impossible, but it's like nigh impossible to somehow invoke sympathy and empathy in these people because their mindset is already hateful.
the the thing that I try and hold on to is that these people are everyone's afraid, you know, and that's I think one of my the main issues of or the main reasons why I wanted to call this "Don't Panic." Okay, and that's because they're the right wing is at this point full on reactionary. They are they
Mm.
victimize themselves. They think that they're being censored, um, but at the same time they are strong. You know what I mean? Their enemy immigrants are both lazy, but at the same time strong enough to steal their jobs and take over the country. Like
Oh yeah,
the
I
ideology
mean,
is contradictory and based in in like both well not both but like uh, economic, racial, and social anxieties. There is you know a shift towards a more egalitarian society that we were kind of moving towards. Um, However, because of really weak like liberal policy, our
mhm.
what we could achieve with our resources wasn't, and the failures were strong enough that someone with like Trump that could create demagogues and whatnot could do so. I mean, he'd been doing that throughout the entire Obama administration. You know,
Mhm.
he riled up a lot of like anxiety, racial anxiety with his birtherism nonsense regarding Obama. You know, like he kind of started that shit, which is crazy. He's trying to start it with Kamala.
Yeah, and I mean, I've even seen some articles, or not articles, but like memes of articles that were like one back from when Kamala was elected
Yep.
as a senator about how she's the first Indian woman to be a senator, and then another one, from her being the first, so and so black woman, and everyone's like, what is she? And I'm like, people can be both. Like mixed people exist, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like she's
People can be
she's
too bro.
Jamaican and Indian,
Look at Tobias from Arrested Development.
exactly, and like, and she's she's not African American, but if we think about, I don't want to talk about this too much, but we think about just sort of like the way that like slavery expanded in the U.S. and where slaves were first brought to, which was the Caribbean.
Mm,
You know, by all means, Caribbean people are black.
right.
So,
Mm,
but yeah, your Schrodinger's immigrant also stands the same for conservatives when it comes to like Antifa. Like
mm.
people on the quote unquote far left are both skinny soy boy cuck basement dwellers, but they're also radical anarchists that are dangerous, that are gonna beat
Dangerous
you up
Antifa
and
super soldiers that are out killing cops and blowing shit up, but at the same time
and
making a safe space and a participation trophy. Real quick
fucking,
aside about participation trophies. I
yeah.
don't know who the fuck came up with those ideas, but I don't know why millennials and Gen Z keeps getting blamed for a fucking boomer slash Gen X idea. Like
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, they all receive participation trophies as kids, so that's why they want all this stuff. I'm like, well, who gave them? Because we were kids.
I didn't want to
Whose idea was that?
dude. When I remember there were a couple of times when I got participation trophies. I got a spirit award because I at a karate tournament, right? And
Yeah,
it was the only fucking thing that I got, right? And
yeah.
I saw a bunch of other kids got spirit awards, so I was like, oh, this is the loser trophy. This is the you know this is the proof of purchase fucking trophy. You know what I mean?
Proof of purchase.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, dude, you paid all that money to like get in and like compete and whatnot. You're gonna walk away with something, and it's not a fucking it's not a thing to acquiesce to kids because they don't want to feel like losers. No, I felt like a fucking loser when I got a fifth place trophy. Why did you give me a trophy for fifth place, dude? Fuck you. Like,
It's just to remind you that you're a loser.
yeah, dude. Like all right. So like first through fourth, I kind of like I get. Even like fourth was is stretching it to me, but like
It's always been first through third, in my
yeah,
opinion.
first through third gets a trophy. Fourth gets like an alright trophy. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
Or
chill.
medal, or
And then
like a
everyone
certificate.
from like fifth on just gets like the bottom and then a little kicky guy, right? And that's it. It's
Right.
just a dude doing a kick on a stand. It's an action figure that won't move that you didn't want, you know. And
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
like, "Fuck this! I'm getting a big trophy." And I did my fucking katas, you know. Um, but like, I've never personally like that that participation trophy thing. Like, no, dude. I cried on the way home. My mom had to be like, "No, you got it because you were just doing it. You were going so hard, young man." Shut up. Shut the fuck up. That is not what happened. They're pacifiers for our parents because they you know they
you,
work
you
at
know, the only people who would have been mad about that is the Karens. You
oh
know.
that is so like knowing no I love the language of Karen. I love that word Karen. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's great. But like because it's retroactively giving language to that. The reason why we have participation trophies is because of fucking early 90s Karens.
Yeah. Exactly.
80s and
Because
90s.
they would have thrown a fit with the coaches like, my kid played so hard and he did so well and he got nothing. It's like, man, this is not varsity. Like, I don't know what you want. This was so that like your kid would be out of the house
This is
for three
T-ball.
hours.
This is T-ball,
The
baby. No one gives a shit. Like,
kids don't even pitch. They don't pitch yet.
they
They're
don't
not old enough for that.
there's seven. Like, who cares if they get a trophy or not? They didn't
Like,
do
just
the
let
best.
let the
Guess
kids have fun, dude.
let them have fun. Don't worry about trophies. Like, only give a trophy if it's for a big ass event. There you go. Boom.
I got so many of those. They all said MVP, every single one, and everyone in the league got them. And I was like, "There's no way I could get a trophy for soccer. I didn't score a goal over the course of 4 years, so there's no way that
Doesn't
I
make
got
any
anything."
sense. I'm not making
But
this up.
and I didn't give a shit about them at all. I was like, "Oh, this is the thing you get when the season for kids soccer is over, because everyone played soccer,
Yeah.
whatever." So I would
People
just
can
like
play.
put it
Like, oh, I
where the
really
rest of them
play
are in
soccer.
the closet.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Play it back. Anyway, we went off on a goddamn tangent. I just
that's gonna happen.
just to sort of like end off on this Bannon thing is
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate. You know what I mean? I think that that's my main thing. Like, yeah, it's great. He's fucking hot, cool, but the implication of the fact that like these are probably I mean I haven't seen a donation list. There isn't like I can't maybe if I do some searching I can find out and do some tracking into people's socioeconomic levels. But I'm assuming that a lot of the people that they duped were older, were probably lower income, probably lacking in access to education and whatnot. And
Probably, yeah.
yeah, they really preyed on these guys. Um, you know, lack of not lack of intelligence, but sort of like lack of you know uh, knowing what they were getting into, and you know, I want to be like, oh yeah, that's what you get, but like, no, at the deepest part of it, I'm just like, damn, dude, you got God, and I can't do anything but tell you that you got God, and I, oof, oof,
I
bro,
mean, it's that
oof,
play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, I know, I'm just,
because like, yeah, it's unfortunate because these are not wealthy people that can just take the loss. Probably, based on what I think you're saying here is it's like people that don't didn't really have the excess funds either. They're not wealthy. They're not lobbyists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the core of it, I mean, the wall, and that they might have this mindset of, well, we need to protect what's ours, but again, at the core of it, like, the wall is racist, and it's feeding into racist hysteria, and a non-enemy. But
Yeah.
that's how you unite a side, and that's why you look at the right and how it's a lot more you know um, ideologically unified
Mm-hmm.
than the left is, because they're you know they're united by a common enemy. Honestly, that's really the best. They have a boogeyman to fight against, and sure, Trump is like the left's boogeyman, but we disagree more thoroughly on more things. At least in my personal experience, I've found the left is a lot wider and there's a lot more range to it.
And I think also the left is a little like as a leftist, the left is a little bit uh, up its own ass.
Yeah, that too.
From
I
Demo
mean,
like and I'm talking about like Democrats all the way on to like the fucking commies. Like there are some people that are just like, dude, dude.
very thoroughly up our own asses. Yes,
Yes, I mean like maybe I'm one of them. Who knows?
we probably are.
I'm definitely all the way up on the
Yeah.
right
And we
Burrow.
have people that are leftists and on in the same plane of like anarcho-communist or you know Marxist, whatever,
Yeah,
that would thoroughly disagree with a lot of our stances on things,
yeah,
even though we're in like the same little, what you consider a bubble of,
mm-hmm.
you and I, we have this notion of like we have to make a concession here about Biden and Kamala.
Yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, like, I'm not going to feel good about it,
right, right,
Um, but there are still plenty of like never Biden people on the left. There are people that are like, if you're a leftist and you're supporting Biden, then you're like, you're betraying progression and like, what we're trying to fight for. And it's like, and my whole view, and we've gone over this, is like, well, I mean, it's great because we want to fight for a lot of the same things, but like, I feel like we can't even start to sniff or even think about that if we're teetering right here on the edge of like, you know, this cliff.
yeah,
Like, we got to go that way a little bit,
yeah.
and we've talked about it and we agree on it, but there are people that don't. They're
Oh,
like,
absolutely. There are some people. I mean, there are some people that are pro accelerationism and think that like Trump, regardless of all the bad he's going to do, is going to be an overall good because he is going to topple the American empire with his ineptitude. Like fascism is inherently contradictory and will eat itself, um, either by destroying the world or destroying itself. So, um, that being said, Uh, this is contradictory. Shit.
we have a thing here that says antifa fascist, huh? Is that about that article where Trump said, um he said, what was it? Let me scroll down here. Trump now claims Biden, Harris are both fascist and Antifa.
Yes, yes. Anti-fascists. Yep.
So, first of all, they are neither.
No.
Um, yeah, they are. If there was a noun for people who are complicit, that's what they are. They feed into the status quo. They support the empire. Slightly more left than the right does, but they're still in the same pool with them.
Right.
But again, like, this whole notion, and Trump has done this, and his base tags right along about, oh, well, the anti-fascists are the real fascists. They're the ones telling us that, we can't be racist. They're the ones who are policing our, what we say and what we do. We
Right.
can't even have swastikas out, or they'll punch you. And it's like, yeah, what do you think anti-fascist means?
What? The perpetual victim state that the right will put itself in against the radical left because there is a trend that if as the you know the right moves further and further right, the centrists have to move inch closer and closer to the right to acquiesce to you know the independents that fall
Yeah.
in the middle of the two, and like forego the further left because they're seen as the radicals because of how right leaning everything has gotten, and
Yeah.
it's really it's really shite uh, when you have entities like Donald Trump and other Republicans and Fox News calling Joe Biden and Kamala Harris fucking socialists and like leftists and whatnot because they're so not. They are very much not. They are very authoritarian. They're very pro capitalism. They're very, pro the state and, maintaining a lot of things that are one, imperialistic in nature, and two, not very good for the American people when it comes when it when you get down to terms of like real liberty and um, personal autonomy and freedom. You know,
Hmm.
the system that we've set up is very much a game of like you've got to work or you're gonna die, and you're gonna have to take whatever and as much work, as you can because they've eroded a lot of the protections that you know maintain a level of homeostasis for the working class. Like fucking places. Would have to. Like, I read something about like, you know, uh, say you have to work 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week to make full time, and full time you get benefits. So
Hmm.
there are places that'll hire you for 39 hours out of the week, just keeping you right under the threshold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that shit, that sort of shit is allowed on a lot of levels, and a lot of people are getting fucked out of money. Um, you know,
Yeah. When I worked at Starbucks, they did that. They kept me at 32 hours a week.
mm, yeah, that's fucking crazy.
And like, I mean, talking about how, I mean, Trump knows his base very well. It's very calculated in what he does. And so calling, first of all, he's made this very, this boogeyman out of socialists, right? Socialist, communist, anarchist, it's all the same thing in their mind. And, you can read it in the people that post on comment on political Facebook posts. They view the left as like this communist monolith.
Mm,
Um, so by adding this label to Biden and Kamala, he's able to create like this internalized hate for them as people from his side. It's not just, oh, we have different opinions. It's, oh, these are communists, like they're bad. And and if that's what makes reactionaries reactionaries in the first place. I mean, they live their life through hyperbole.
mm-hmm.
And if we were looking for in-depth analysis, like, they wouldn't be reactionaries in the first place. So that's just they've done a very good job of demonizing leftist ideologies and just sort of mushing them into this box. So you can, and it goes along with his whole calling Antifa a terrorist organization when they're not an organization at all. But
Right.
it's he's very good at creating an enemy for his base to be fearful of.
Oh, I mean, don't like let's not fully credit Trump. We can also credit the mainstream media for failing in its ability to report accurately conflicts between the far left, as it is they would like to call, or the Antifa, and the very real, organized, violent far right groups like the Proud Boys. In the last couple of years, Cody Johnson, I like to cite Cody Johnson a lot to watch a lot of his stuff. I think he's probably
Hmm.
one of the best sources of information when it comes to Just
Yeah, I like him a
fun
lot.
shit. He's great. Shout outs to Cody. Um, anyway, he spoke about how um, they talk about they'll use language like, "Oh, mobs will like clash as if there's a particular like both sides are starting a fight when really there is antagonism coming from one side and then a retaliation from the other, and you know, um, equating what is like peaceful protesters to far right violent agitators. And that we kind of saw that happening because we found like I found a lot of people's language of like being like, oh yeah, there were white supremacists and anarchists trying to start shit, you know,
Hmm.
like no, it's just the white supremacists. Anarchists are actually the people who are out there with like um, bottles of milk and like saline solution, giving out free food, and like being like, hey, do you need hand sanitizer, or would you like a mask? Like they were like, that's what
Yeah,
anarchists are. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of like what anarchy and anarchism actually are. That
yeah,
because of the ignorance um, both the center left and the far right news networks all still find a way to utilize um, the basically Hollywood version of anarchists
yeah.
to elicit a response of like, oh no, these spooky far lefties, but really like the anarchists are they're medics, they're
Yeah,
food
the
people.
medics who are getting attacked
Yeah,
by police. Yeah, I mean, I want to, I want to make a point about this, but that's also very calculated. The first one being that if you look at how each side gets their information and takes in information and spreads it around, like so this mainstream media, I mean, they're all billion-dollar corporations, and so viewership of what you would call left news, like news networks like CNN, MSNBC,
uh,
the viewership of those networks is not the left;
yeah,
it's the right. So, and they know that. The networks know who's watching their, because they have demographics, they have marketing teams, they know exactly what they're doing.
mm,
The left does not get their news from cable news. That's like not you know a lot of it is like, I mean, you can call it untrustworthy. I think cable news is untrustworthy as it comes,
yeah,
but real journalists, on the ground journalists that are usually on Twitter,
right,
um, you know, actual written journalism from news sources like I think like Reuters and AP are pretty good.
yeah. I mean,
NPR is pretty good.
NPR,
Um,
Common Dreams, uh,
yeah,
TYT. There's also like Unicorn Riot. They their writers were on the ground at um, what was it, Columbus Square Park in
yeah.
Philly with the Gravy Seals. Um,
The Gravy Seals. Yeah.
it's like one of my
So
favorite ones.
the mass media, playing into this narrative of dangerous anarchists and violence from both sides, and extenuating horseshoe theory. That's on purpose, and
Yeah.
you know, and it's because they know what their base is, so what their viewership comes from. So they want to, basically report the news in a way, or have the sensation, the last headlines in a way that feeds to that base, and it's
So
there's violence
I
coming from the left and you have to protect your liberties.
let me cut you off real quick, bro.
Yeah,
Okay, I love you. I'm sorry. I'm not to say that you're wrong at all, but I think I wanna maybe shift gears and add on to your idea, right? In the sense
right.
that um, it is not necessarily that they are catering to a right wing idea, but they are manufacturing consent of a um, disruption of our freedoms by also partaking in a different kind of us versus them mentality, right? Because the interests of MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN are actually all one and the same. It is capital, right? And
Right.
the uh, agents that would truly be the enemies of capital would be the kind of people who would go out onto the street for no money, for no reason other than to protect people, um, being, tear gassed and attacked and roughed up by a state sponsored, publicly funded safety force, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the people who are anti-establishment because they may not be government, but they're protected by government. They're still capitalist entities.
Right. So they're
Yeah, and
exactly like I'm all what I guess what I'm saying is like
hmm,
it's not so much that they're catering to like the "Brr, America" like idea with their stuff. What they're doing is they're shifting, they're helping shift the Overton window to the right, both from the far right side of the box via uh, Fox News and the center left side of the box via CNN and MSNBC. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because they both, find ways to demonize like looting and
Yeah,
stuff that's like on this T-shirt of mine. You know,
yeah.
this.
So like my point wasn't that they were doing the same thing as Fox News, which is like pure fear mongering, but it was more like that what they report
Mm,
is calculated in the way that they refuse to tell the real story,
yeah,
and they still sort of play into this horseshoe theory because they know what their viewership base is, and again, also
yeah, yeah,
they're billion-dollar corporations, they're still capitalist, and their enemy by all means are people who are anti-establishment and anti-capitalist.
yeah.
So and that's perfect evidence of that is say
I just
like
smelled the smoke
Washington
on
Post.
camera. I just want you to know that.
Wait, what's up?
I have to put socks on.
Oh,
We're
okay,
nearing an hour, and I have to put on socks. But
okay.
I sniffed the sock to make sure that it was still you know, good because I was wearing it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So like the Washington Post, right?
Yes,
Generally looked at as like a liberal news source,
yes.
but
Didn't run by
you know
Bezos.
at the
Run by
at the full base of things, it's owned by Amazon. It's
yeah,
owned by Bezos. So they
Bezos.
during
Ever listened to
the
Bezos?
primary cycle, they ran tons of hit pieces about Bernie and about how his progressive policies, in taxing the rich and etc., just wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. If it's yeah, exactly. They're doing the thing where like from the left side, like I was saying, like the left side of the box, they're being like, oh man, we're Washington Post. We're the liberal guys.
Yeah,
We don't like Trump, but you know what? This Bernie guy also, he's pretty crazy. His ideas nuts. I don't know what this guy is about, but he seems kind of weird.
yeah.
You know?
This article sponsored by Daddy Bezos.
Right, right. Bezos is like sitting there with his like fucking, you know, dragon tail covering his gold, like, yes, yes, Washington Post. Point to Bernie. Don't look at me.
Do it.
Do it
Write the
now.
hit piece.
Write it now. Strike him down.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's just. Whew. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
tonight.
just passed over the threshold of an hour. So
Oh, geez.
you want to talk about you want to talk about Oos Poos, or you want to talk about something non-political real fast?
Oos poos. I just want to say two things about the USPS.
Yeah.
One, save the USPS. We absolutely need
Yes.
it. It's one of our constitutional fucking rights. I swear to God, you fucking ass clowns that pretend to like care about the Constitution. I'm coming for all of you.
Yeah, I love how the right says that they're pro-life, but they're anti-USPS, except that people are not getting their life-saving medication because of everything going on, and people are actually dying because of this whole defunding of the USPS right now.
Yeah, this is
But
like it frustrates me beyond all belief. You know what I'm saying?
conservatives don't
Because
want to talk about that.
huh?
So conservatives don't want to talk about
They
that
don't want
though,
to talk about that. They're like, "Oh man, I'm super pro life," but like also, I really want to win this election. Um, so fuck your meds, bro.
because I'm just so scared of communism.
Because I'm scared of the lefties. Like, dude, all we want to give you is fucking healthcare and more democracy in your workplace, and maybe a bigger paycheck. You know?
Someone needs to stop Joe Karl Marx Biden.
Yeah. Someone stop Joe Vladimir Lenin Biden and Kamala Mikhail Bakunin Harris. Um, but yeah, let's talk.
Trotsky in this
Let's
scenario.
finish on a slightly non-political note. Oh, actually, before we do that, I wanna not panic real quick.
Okay,
Um,
I cannot panic.
yeah, we can all not panic. No, but you might be thinking, what can I do? What? How can I help? Um,
Grab my
do
Patreon.
yourself a solid. Google, you know, your state representative, or possibly an organization like Democracy Now, and start calling representatives and leaving really mean voicemails. One, it's cathartic. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a good amount of time where I would wake up around like 8 in the morning, make myself a cup of coffee, and I would go through this little thing, and I would call my representatives, a bunch of different representatives, and I'd just be like, hey, fuck you, um, you know, these are my interests, these are my points. I would explain them pretty well, and then I would be like, do your job. We voted for you. Stop spending our money on stupid shit. Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye.
it's real easy. Just search "Find My Rep." The actual U.S. House of Representatives official website has you just put in your zip code. If it needs to filter even more, you put in your address.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you exactly who it is. It takes like 30 seconds. It gives you their name. You click on that. It'll give you their email and their phone number to their office.
Boom.
Really easy. You
Really,
go
really
bring, bring, bring. My representative is Madeline Dean
mm,
for the Fourth Congressional District of Pennsylvania.
yep.
So just ding, 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 bring, bring, bring. Hey, Madeline Dean, lick my gooch. Here's what I demand.
What are your demands, sir?
First of all, eat my ass. Second of all,
Ah, ah,
oh no,
ah.
I don't, I don't like that voice.
It's terrible, right? Just wait till you see the face that goes along with it. Anyway,
Speaking of the face that goes along with it, you have I've had this, I've had this picture up on my computer this entire episode.
oh God, no.
I've decided that instead of the "Don't Panic" logo, because it interferes with the one that goes in between our two screens,
Yeah,
right? Like I would just have a different photo up every time. So this one is is like a pause screen in an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh of Joey Wheeler's face, just making the most insane face, and you're gonna see
I
it.
can't wait. But
uh,
just to round off, let me just round off this don't panic section very quickly.
yeah,
But yeah, so calling your representative, right? Getting your feelings out, write something down. It may not be the most constructive thing, but it's a nice little coping mechanism. It's like screaming into or punching a pillow or counting to 10.
better than doing nothing.
It's better than doing fucking nothing. And if enough people say the same thing over and over again, it stops being a coping mechanism and it starts being the will of the peeps. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. But that's one way to help yourself not panic in these rough times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so I would like to just shift before we end here
Uh,
and talk about Batman.
Batman,
Batman,
I am vengeance. I am the
I
night.
am the knight.
Where are the drugs? Where are the
Hold
money?
on, I actually want to shift, just like talk about something real quick. Do you remember the College Humor series about Batman, where they kept putting Batman in the wrong like interrogation room, or Batman kept going into the wrong interrogation room? Because like the scene in the Dark Knight where he interrogates the Joker and he
Yeah,
slams his head.
yeah,
He's like, "Where's Harvey Dent?
yeah,
Where are they?" You know.
yeah.
It's the College Humor one, and the first one is it's like the kind of clown that like does like balloon animals and shit, and he just like beats the shit out of him, and he you know how he like puts the chair in front of the door so the cops can't get in,
Oh yeah.
and Batman's just like beating the shit out of like this like kids clown. He's just like, "Where are they?" and then and finally they get in. They're like, "It's the wrong Joker. It's the wrong clown." He's just like, "Oh, my bad." And then it shifts away, and he's like, he goes in, and the next one he just slams his mime up against the glass, and the mime's like trying to sign that he's like,
Right.
doesn't know what's going on. He's like, "Where are they?"
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, that's thought of that real fast. So yeah, did you watch the trailer?
Nerd. Yes, yes, I did. Pretty. I'm pretty hyped. I'm excited about this. I've heard some like DC multi-universe. Jesus Christ. Uh,
Jesus Christ!
Jesus Christ. Anyway,
Jesus Christ!
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Um, fuck, it distracted me. Anyway, yeah. So I like it. I like everything about it. It's really cool. Fuck, we are running quite late, but I like.
No, it's
I'm very excited. I know he's gonna be Bruce Wayne, but I really want to see a Dick Grayson Batman. Like I want to see Robin's Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, here's hoping that this opens it up for that, because obviously, the current DCU Batman did not do well, and it looks like he's gonna be like the sort of different take on Batman. I'm not as familiar with DC Comics as I am with Marvel, so I don't know if this is like another universe Batman or another dimension or one of those things. But like, he seems like like a lot darker, a lot more hardcore. He definitely killed that dude in the trailer. Like, that man is dead. That man is straight up dead. You know, he seems like a little more unkempt, less of like the refined playboy Bruce Wayne
Yeah,
that that like Christian Bale was, and Ben Affleck, and even like what's his name, like Michael Keaton
hmm
was. But I think it has like a really good lineup for the kind of dark Batman that they're going for,
yeah,
with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman and like Andy Serkis, who I love, as Alfred. Um, but supposedly, like the Riddler and the Penguin are also going to be in it, which are like people we haven't really seen in a long time, because
yeah,
like the Dark Knight series was like, it didn't really touch on them, and then of course Ben Affleck's Batman was, and
yeah,
that whole DCU saga is like,
yeah.
so
That wasn't a good time.
yeah, so
Not a good.
I think it's gonna be great. And a lot of people, when Robert Pattinson was picked as Bruce Wayne, everyone was like, "Hey,
What the
it's
fuck?
sparkly Twilight boy, whatever." I'm like, yeah, everyone had a big issue with Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker too, and that turned out great. So
Yeah,
why don't you trust the casting here?
right. Just
You know,
like honestly, anything's better than Batfleck. I don't care what anyone says. I don't like Batfleck.
that was terrible.
He's
That's
bad.
awful.
He is not. He's my favorite. He's my least favorite Batman. He feels like great value Tony Stark. I feel like Batman can have a sense of humor, right? Like they definitely try to make him like kind of funny. I guess I don't know. They try to make everyone kind of funny. Um,
Yeah,
but like one, I don't like Zack Snyder all that much. But two, like
no,
he was
he
great value
just made
Tony
a bunch of
Stark,
snooze fests.
and like I don't know. He's supposed to have like a certain level of like, no, we must make sure that we go by the plan and make sure that we don't fucking screw up and he was the guy that was like, listen, you guys are a bunch of fucking godlike beings. Don't fuck with humans that bad. Like don't like you gotta realize we can't just be having intergalactic punch contests in the middle of major cities.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tony was like, Tony Stark, Iron Man was like kind of the same way, but like Marvel has always been a little more lighthearted than DC anyway. And I think like,
Well, Tony, in that sense, well, he was like, I'm gonna protect the world by myself with my stuff, and his arrogance in the Marvel movies was like the reason why his thing like really didn't work out super well. You know,
yeah,
like he.
I was also talking about like like Civil War, which was also kind of a disappointment, but
Oh,
his whole mindset in that regard, MCU does different from the comics,
right.
but like I don't know. I feel like the most recent DCU uh, renditions in that, like, well, first of all, they didn't do a really great job when it came to like context and building story and all that.
Yeah.
But then the other one is like Zack Snyder creates like these cinematic masterpieces where everything's like dark and gritty, but the writing and the acting doesn't really reflect that.
Yeah. It's like weird.
Like they wanted to make uh, Arthur Curry for Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman.
I think that's his character's name. See, I told you I'm not that great with.
I don't know.
I think his name's Arthur Curry.
But wait.
Um, but yeah, so but his character is like a mix of like Thor and Tony Stark, where he's like kind of joking, he's full of himself,
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, like his character.
Yeah.
Like but like it didn't fit the imagery and all that stuff of the,
Of the film.
of the films. Yeah, they're all very dark and almost sort of like monotone in color, and they come off very serious.
Yeah.
Like the color palettes are very, but
Muted and
you look at DC, which is a little more, not DC, sorry, the MCU, which is a little more vibrant and colorful, and they can play off that sort of, witty, But so I think the most recent Batman is finally going to really be like the dark kind of thing we were waiting for. And I also didn't realize that Colin Farrell is playing the Penguin and Paul Dano is playing the Riddler. So it's like a awesome lineup too. So
that's crazy. Yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
makeup that was all over him. That looks insane. I'm really I'm really excited to see this sort of like, I don't know. I mean, Batman to me is always going to be kind of dark. But I like the direction. I mean, at least what the trailer looks like. I hope it's kind of like noir-y.
yeah, which would be sick. Yeah.
That'd be grand. But I think we
Yeah.
should cut things off with it before it gets
Yeah.
too long.
Too long, yeah. All right, this has been the Don't Panic podcast. Thank you for watching. We appreciate everyone who has watched us and commented and just interacted with us. We're just trying to get our thoughts and feelings out there and maybe get a little bit of traction. So if you can, again, I know things are tough through COVID and a lot of people aren't working. If you can, please support us. Patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. We're going to keep just trying to improve our craft and, putting out a consistently good product.
Indeed.
So,
we're
working on getting some cool guests.
Yes, actually, look forward to us speaking with, I believe he's a horror writer and also rising TikTok roast
Political
champion.
TikTok star.
I was going to say, well, yeah, political TikTok star.
Better than mine.
And TikTok roast champion, my buddy Terrorverse TV. We're gonna talk to him about some stuff and some things and like dealing with people on the internet and trolls and shit. But anyway, yeah. So Also,
Patreon.com. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I
Plug-
want to
plug
also say
something.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you,
And
everyone.
Patreon.com.
Love you. Patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast.
There you go. All right.
I'm Batman.
Swear to me.
Where are they?
Don't panic.
Don't Panic Podcast.